Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Mrs. English Podcast, the perfect place for beginner English learners to grow their vocabulary, improve their listening skills, and find daily inspiration. I'm your host, Lily. Let me start this short episode with a simple question. If you had to choose only one, would you rather study English from a textbook or live inside the English language every day? Because that is really the fundamental choice we are talking about today. Textbooks versus podcasts. Textbooks try to explain the language, but podcasts let you experience the language, and that difference changes absolutely everything. Before we dive into today's mind-blowing topic, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. You will never miss our weekly episodes packed with easy tips to boost your English. Most learners begin their journey with textbooks. That makes complete sense. A textbook gives you a clean, clear path. It tells you exactly what to study, in what order, and how each mechanical part of the language works. There is a great feeling of safety in that structure. You feel like you are making massive progress because you can visually track the pages, the units, and the completed exercises. But there is something vital that textbooks simply cannot give you. They cannot give you the feeling of real language. Clean language versus messy reality. When you read a textbook, everything is perfectly clean. Sentences are structurally complete, grammar is flawless, and conversations are totally controlled. Nothing is messy, nothing is unclear, and nothing is fast. But real-world English is not like that at all. Real English is full of interruptions, hesitations, and raw emotions. People do not speak in perfect sentences. They stop, they restart, they completely change direction mid-sentence. They say less, and sometimes they say more. They use tone, rhythm, and stress to communicate deep meaning, not just isolated words. This is exactly where podcasts become incredibly powerful. When you listen to a podcast, you're not studying English in a sterile, controlled environment. You're entering the language as it actually exists in the real world. You hear how live ideas are connected, how thoughts naturally develop, and how meaning fluidly flows over time. You are not just learning what English is, you're learning how English behaves. That's a completely different kind of learning. Training for real-time speed. There is another, deeper reason why podcasts are so effective, and it has to do with how your brain actually processes speech. When you read a textbook, your brain moves slowly. You can stop at every single sentence, translate it, analyze the grammar, and look back to check it again. Everything is under your complete control. But in real communication, you do not have that control. When someone speaks to you in real life, the words do not wait. The sentence continues moving forward, whether you are ready or not. You cannot pause a real conversation, and you cannot rewind a real human being. Podcasts perfectly simulate this fast-paced reality in a completely safe way. They train your brain to follow meaning in real time. They push you to let go of needing perfect, 100% word-by-word understanding and focus instead on the general message. And that is exactly the exact skill you need to survive in real conversations. Note, that is precisely why in this short episode, I am intentionally using slightly harder words and more complex structures. Fluent speakers are not people who understand every single dictionary definition. They are people who can stay fluidly with the flow of meaning even when they miss minor details. Podcasts build that specific muscle. The memory spectrum, understanding versus using. Many learners fundamentally misunderstand how memory works. They believe that learning happens the moment they understand a concept clearly. They read a grammar rule, understand the explanation, and feel completely satisfied. They feel like they have successfully learned it. But understanding information is not the same as remembering it, and remembering it is definitely not the same as being able to use it automatically under pressure. Textbooks are excellent at helping you understand. They break down grammar and organize data cleanly. But podcasts do something far more critical for fluency. They help you remember through natural repetition. When you listen regularly, your brain starts to encounter the same core structures over and over again. The exact same patterns appear in completely different sentences, and the same expressions return with natural variations. Without any painful studying, your brain begins to recognize them. You aren't memorizing them consciously, you are effortlessly absorbing them. Over time, these patterns become familiar. Then they become automatic, and eventually they naturally show up in your speech. This is how true fluency actually develops, not through memorizing rules, but through repeated exposure to meaningful, living language. The human element. Finally, there is something deeply human and emotional that a textbook simply cannot provide. When you listen to a podcast, you are interacting with a real voice, a unique personality, and a genuine way of thinking. You are actively following real ideas, stories, and opinions. This does not mean textbooks are completely useless. They absolutely have a role to play. They can help clarify confusion, explain an abstract structure, and give you a basic foundation, but they should never be your primary tool. Podcasts move you directly into real-world application. They train your ear, your rhythm, and your native intuition. They train you to think less and respond more. And in the end, that is exactly what fluency is. Not perfect grammar, not advanced vocabulary, but the fluid ability to stay in the language and move naturally with it. Here is the simple, powerful shift I want you to make this week. Do not replace your textbooks completely, but reduce their importance and massively increase your exposure to real spoken English. Listen more, shadow more, and focus on staying with the flow of the conversation, even if you don't understand every single word. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Mrs. English Podcast. If this episode made you think differently about how you train your mind, then you are already moving in the right direction. I'm your host, Lily. Until next time, keep listening, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. Bye for now.